Welcome to James and Elena's English Chat. This is the podcast where we have real, messy, and hopefully helpful conversations to help you improve your English. I'm James, and I'm joined by the ever-patient Elena.
Hello, everyone. It's so lovely to be here. James, you sound very enthusiastic today, but I noticed you're sitting very stiffly. Are you okay? You look like you've turned into a statue.
Oh, Elena, it's my pride that's hurt more than my back. My wife, Emily, she's the one who actually knows how to stay organized and healthy, suggested we do some yoga this morning to help us wind down before the busy week starts. I thought, how hard can it be?
I can guess where this is going. Yoga can be surprisingly tricky. It looks so peaceful in the videos, but it requires a lot of balance and core strength.
Exactly. I tried the tree pose, where you stand on one leg. Well, I wasn't a strong oak tree. I was more like a wet noodle in a hurricane. I lost my balance and crashed right into the coffee table. Even my dog Barnaby just looked at me with this face of deep disappointment. I'm really trying to get the hang of it, but I think the floor and I are going to be close friends for a while.
Poor James. But honestly, that is the perfect way to start today's episode. Our topic today is all about movement. Fitness fails, finding the joy in exercise, and why it's okay if you aren't a professional athlete. We want to show that exercise doesn't have to be about the gym. It can just be about moving your body in a way that feels good.
I love that, because if it's about looking cool, I've already failed. But before we get deep into our stories, we should mention that this is an intermediate or B1 and B2 level episode.
That's right. If you're listening and you don't catch every single word, please don't worry. Just relax and listen to the rhythm of the conversation. You'll understand more than you think. This is a safe space to learn, so just let the English flow over you.
And here is our roadmap for today's chat. First, we're going to share some personal stories about our own fitness journeys. And yes, there will be more embarrassing moments. While we talk, I want you to listen for specific phrasal verbs and idioms we use naturally. Finally, at the end of the show, we'll visit Elena's vocabulary corner to review the best phrases from today.
It's going to be a fun one. But James, before we move on, don't you have a small request for our friends listening at home?
I do. If you enjoy learning English with us and you like these cozy chats, please do us a tiny favor and subscribe or follow the show. It really helps us keep making these free episodes for you. We're so happy to have you as part of our community.
We truly appreciate it. Now, James, back to this yoga disaster. Did you actually finish the video, or did you just give up right there on the rug?
I wanted to stop, believe me, but Emily gave me the look, so I had to power through the rest of the 30 minutes. My legs were shaking like jelly. How about you, listener? Have you ever tried a new exercise and felt totally out of place? We've all been there, haven't we?
Oh, absolutely. I have a story about a dance class that didn't quite go to plan either. You should check out some of the local community classes if you want to see real people struggling just like us. It makes the whole process much less intimidating.
I can only imagine that dance class, Elena. I bet you were still more graceful than me in my yoga disaster. But it is funny, right? As adults, we think of moving our bodies as work or a task. We have to schedule it in our calendar like a doctor's appointment.
You're so right. It becomes another thing on the to-do list. When we were younger, we didn't work out, we just played. I often look back on those long summer afternoons when my friends and I would spend hours in the park. We didn't have heart rate monitors, we just had fun.
Exactly. I remember playing tag for hours. I would go after my friends until I was completely out of breath, but I didn't care. It wasn't about burning calories or hitting a step goal. It was just about not being it. I didn't even realize I was exercising.
Exactly. And there was hide and seek or climbing trees. I used to climb the big oak tree in my neighbor's yard. I felt so fast and strong up there. We were naturally active because the movement was the reward. Now, if I see a steep hill, I think, oh no, my poor knees. But back then, a hill was just something to roll down.
I definitely feel you on the knees part. I think my joints make more noise than my car these days. But why do you think we lose that feeling? I mean, I see kids today just run around until they literally fall asleep from exhaustion, and they look so happy doing it. Why does it change for us?
I think we start to focus on the results rather than the feeling. We exercise to lose weight or to be healthy, which are great goals, but they aren't very playful. We forget how to just mess around and enjoy what our bodies can do. We make it too serious.
That's a really good point. I remember climbing trees too, though I wasn't very good at it. Actually, I once got stuck in a tree behind my house and my dad had to get the ladder to save me. I wasn't quite the monkey I thought I was, but the feeling of being up there, it was amazing. How about you, listener? What was your favorite game to play outside when you were a child? Did you like to climb trees or were you a champion at hide and seek?
I'd love to hear those stories. And you know, James, we can still find that feeling as adults. You don't need a fancy gym membership or expensive shoes to have fun. Sometimes just walking in the woods and jumping over a puddle or balancing on a log can make you feel like a kid again. It's about letting go of the seriousness of being a grown-up for a moment.
I like that idea. Maybe next time I'm at the park with my dog Barnaby, he's a golden retriever who thinks he's a tiny lapdog, I'll try to keep up with him instead of just standing there holding the leash. He definitely knows how to find the joy in a simple run.
That's the spirit. It's about finding those small, silly moments. If you can turn a boring walk into a little adventure, you're already winning. You don't always have to join a difficult class if you'd rather just be playing a game or exploring a new trail.
You're so right, Elena. Making a walk feel like an adventure makes it feel much less like a chore. Honestly, I think we often forget how much we move just by living our lives. We sometimes feel guilty for not going to the gym, but we're actually busy running around all day anyway. Every little bit adds up.
Exactly. I noticed this most when I was traveling a few years ago. My husband, Mark, who is usually the quiet one, and I visited this beautiful old city with tiny, winding streets and thousands of stairs. We didn't visit a single gym for 2 weeks, but by the end of each day, I was completely worn out. My legs were actually shaking.
Oh, I can imagine. Those old European streets are no joke. It's like a natural stair climber machine, but with much better views and probably much better snacks at the top.
Precisely. We spent the whole day exploring museums and parks. I think we walked about 15 kilometers a day without even thinking about it. When you're looking at amazing architecture or trying to figure out a map, you don't realize how much effort your body is making. You just end up being fit by accident. It's the best way.
Fitness by accident. I love that. That's definitely my kind of exercise. I feel the same way about my garden at home. My wife Emily, she's the organized one who usually leaves me lists of chores, gives me tasks for the weekend. I spend hours digging holes for new plants or carrying heavy bags of soil. By Sunday night, I'm exhausted, but I have a beautiful garden to show for it.
See? That definitely counts as a workout. You're lifting, squatting, and stretching. It's much more productive than sitting on a plastic machine in a basement with loud music, don't you think? It has a real purpose.
Way more productive. And honestly, even the small boring things count. Like when I walk to the grocery store, I always think, oh, I'll just buy a few things. But then I run into a big sale on heavy cans of soup or water. I refuse to take the bus, so I have to carry 3 heavy bags all the way home. My arms feel like they've been at the weightlifting station for an hour.
It's true. We tend to overlook these moments because they are part of our routine. How about you, listener? Do you have a hobby or a daily task that feels like a hidden workout? Maybe you have to walk up 4 flights of stairs to your apartment, or maybe you spend your weekends chasing your kids in the park. We'd love to know what your accidental exercise is.
It really makes me feel better about missing my yoga class this morning. If I spent the afternoon wrestling with a heavy lawnmower, I think I've done enough. We don't need to be perfect athletes. We just need to keep moving in ways that make sense for our lives.
I couldn't agree more, James. It's about looking at your day and realizing that you're probably doing more than you give yourself credit for. It's about finding that balance between staying active and being kind to yourself when you're too busy for a formal workout.
Being kind to yourself is so important, Elena. Honestly, I think I'm a professional at being kind to myself, especially on Sunday mornings. I usually wake up with these big, heroic plans to go for a long jog around the neighborhood.
I know that feeling. You have all the energy in the world when you're still lying in bed, right?
Exactly. But then I sit down for just 1 minute to have a coffee and maybe check the news. Suddenly, 2 hours have passed and I've watched 3 videos about how to bake bread. I just never get around to putting on my running shoes. I call it the Sunday trap.
The Sunday trap is a perfect name for it. I have the same problem with my ukulele practice. I tell myself I'll play for an hour, but then I see a comfortable chair and a book and I completely slack off. It's so easy to just stay still.
It really is. And then comes the guilt. I spend the rest of the day thinking, James, you're so lazy. Why didn't you go for that run? How about you, listener? Do you have those days too? Do you find yourself putting off your exercise or your hobbies because the sofa just feels too comfortable?
I think we all do that. And the most important thing is not to beat yourself up about it. My neighbor, Mrs. Gable, she's 80 years old and still goes for a walk every single morning, told me something very wise once. She said, "Elena, a 5-minute walk is better than a 0-minute run."
Wow, Mrs. Gable is a genius. That is so true. We think if we can't do a perfect 1-hour workout, then there's no point in doing anything at all. But just moving for 5 minutes is still a victory.
Exactly. It's about imperfect progress. If you're having a busy day and you can't go to the gym, just doing a few stretches while you wait for your dinner to cook helps you stay on track mentally. It keeps the habit alive, even if it's not a big effort.
I love that. Imperfect progress. That sounds like my life story, Elena. It makes the whole idea of staying active feel much more manageable. You don't have to be a superstar. You just have to move a little bit more than you did yesterday.
Precisely. It's about celebrating the small wins. If you took the stairs instead of the elevator today, that's a win. If you stood up and stretched your back for 2 minutes, that's a win too.
Well, after our chat today, I feel much less guilty about my lazy Sunday. Maybe I'll go do a single push-up right now just to celebrate my imperfect progress. Before we move to our favorite part of the show, I want to give our listeners a little gift. I call it the linguistic map. Sometimes it's hard to know how to start a sentence when you're talking about your day, right? So here are 3 simple starters you can use to talk about movement. First, I find movement in, followed by an activity like, I find movement in walking to work. Second, my favorite way to stay active is, and third, I usually end up, for those accidental workouts we talked about, like, I usually end up carrying heavy groceries.
Those are wonderful, James. They are so practical. I hope you guys can use those today. But now it's time for us to slow down a little and look at the language we used. Welcome to Elena's Vocabulary Corner. I've picked 5 phrases from our chat today that will really help you sound more natural.
I'm ready. I'll try to keep up with you, Elena.
Our first phrase is to wind down. To wind down. This means to gradually relax after you have been doing something busy or stressful. It's like a clock slowly stopping.
I usually listen to some soft music to wind down after a long day at the office.
And I love to spend time in my garden to wind down on Friday evenings. Next, we have to power through. To power through. This is when you continue doing something difficult or tiring until it is finished, even if you want to stop.
I had to power through the last 10 minutes of my workout because my legs were so tired.
Even though I was very sleepy, I had to power through the book because the ending was so exciting. The third one is to figure out. To figure out. This means to finally understand something or to find the solution to a problem after thinking about it.
It took me 20 minutes to figure out how to open the box Emily, my wife, brought home.
I'm still trying to figure out how to play a difficult song on my ukulele. Now for number 4, to slack off. To slack off. This is a bit informal, and it means to work less hard than you usually do, or to be a bit lazy when you should be working.
I'm afraid I sometimes slack off on my chores when there's a good football match on TV.
My husband Mark never slacks off when he's birdwatching. He stays very focused for hours. And finally, to beat yourself up. To beat yourself up. This means to blame yourself too much, or to be very critical of yourself for a mistake.
Please don't beat yourself up if you forget a new English word. It happens to everyone.
Exactly. I used to beat myself up when I couldn't finish my to-do list, but now I'm learning to be kinder to myself.
That's a great list, Alina. I think I use slack off a bit too often in my real life, though. How about you, listener? Which of these phrases do you think you'll use first? Maybe you can try using one with those sentence starters I mentioned earlier.
Those phrases really are the secret to sounding more like a native speaker. But before we wrap things up, James, why don't we quickly recap those sentence starters for everyone?
Great idea. If you want to talk about your day, try using these. I find movement in for your daily habits, and I usually end up for those surprise workouts, like carrying heavy shopping bags. They are simple, but they really help the conversation flow.
Exactly. And that brings us to our homework for this episode. We would love to hear from you in the comments.
Yes, here is your mission. Write one sentence in English telling us one small way you moved your body today. Did you take the stairs? Did you dance in the kitchen? Even if it was just a 2-minute stretch, tell us about it.
I can't wait to read those. It's so important to celebrate those tiny victories. Whether it's a new English word or a short walk, it's all progress.
Please don't beat yourself up if you didn't do a perfect workout today. You're doing great.
I feel you, Elena. I'm going to stop worrying about my yoga disaster and just focus on taking my dog, Barnaby, the golden retriever who thinks he's a lapdog, for a nice long walk this afternoon. That counts, right?
It definitely counts, James. Well, that's all for today's episode of James and Elena's English Chat. Thank you so much for spending your time with us.
We really appreciate you listening. If you haven't already, please follow the show so you don't miss our next chat. We have so much more to share with you.
Have a wonderful, healthy week. And remember to be kind to yourselves. Happy learning, everyone.
Bye-bye for now.
Goodbye.